Welcome back to the Hadron 3 Part 2, and today is going to hopefully be all about the numbers, all about the figures. So one thing I do need to stipulate here is it's really hard to cater for fuel burn, and the reason I say that is because I've got a friend that's got a machine exactly the same as this. He's worked some wizard magic with his carb and he pretty much burns 0.8 a litre an hour less than I do. So fuel consumption, the only way I'm going to be able to represent how this machine performs is on RPM. So as I'm going to go through, I'm going to adjust the wing at each stage. I've got my vario and I've deliberately climbed above the cloud level to get the smoothest air possible, and I'm going to work out what the RPM is for that trim setting, and I'm going to plot that on a graph to show the trim setting against RPM. Speeds, again, I've only got my ground speed at the minute, and I'm going to try and do 2 runs at each setting to hopefully try and do that. What a gorgeous layer of cloud to come and do flight testing. So I know I'm roughly into wind at the moment. My ground speed, so just for accuracy, trim setting 3, into wind 21 miles an hour, 5,600 at level flight on trim setting 3. So again, I'm going to try and plot these. The key thing here for the RPM is I've actually got a cruise throttle set, so I can micro adjust it to make sure I'm at level flight.
So rather than watch me collating all those figures, I've pulled all the data together, having already gone through the video, and in the table you can see on the screen I've got the trim speed, the relevant engine speed for that trim position for level flight, and I've also managed to do an airspeed correction calculation to actually get my wing speed in both kilometers an hour and miles an hour. The wind at height was just under 7 miles an hour, so that's allowed me to do the error calculation. As you can see from the 2 lines on the graph in relation to the bottom axis for trim position, the most ideal and most efficient trim position for my weight range on this size of wing, so Hadron 322, is going to be trim setting 9. Anything after that, the minor increase in speed actually corresponds to a much greater requirement for engine power. You can go faster, but the actual fuel used is going to be much greater than sitting around trim position 9. So if I'm going on any long flights, that's actually where I'm going to leave the wing. So let's leave this graph description here, and you'll rejoin me just as I'm about to do the full bar testing.
So we're going to go full speed bar and just see what the power requirement is for level flight. Well, I'm still climbing anyway. I'm going that fast, my eyes are watering. 7,200. 46 miles an hour. That's stabilised at 46 miles an hour. And that's still at 7,100. Right, now we've got rid of the noise because of all that power. So as cross-country wings go, it's not all about speed. It's about distance covered for the fuel used. And that's where the economy is. Everyone kept asking me in the comments, how fast is it, how fast is it? If you want to go fast, buy a small wing and carry loads of fuel. You'll get there really quickly, but you'll also use a lot more fuel. Wings like the Hadron XX, the original Hadron, are all about that pure, I'm just going to cruise there. It's like sitting on the motorway at 60 miles an hour. You use the least fuel, rough example, least fuel, you're still getting there. If you drove at 30, it'd take forever and you still burn a lot of fuel. Go at motorway speeds, high-end motorway speeds, you're just chucking fuel out the back, and actually you don't really get there that much quicker, because especially with wings like this, the parasitic drag increases at the square of the change of speed, so you're just burning fuel to not go that much faster. So hopefully that will give you some representation of actually the performance polar curve by RPM. That's how I'm kind of doing it. Up to this point, I've actually flown this wing about 14 or 15 times now in a range of conditions from almost nil wind to strong reversible. I can hand on heart say it launches so much easier than the Hadron XX. And I'm not so fearful. I almost had this, my XX was my nemesis wing for launching. You've still got to be on the game with this. but it does launch significantly easier than the XX. The one thing I have noticed, although it says in the manual it doesn't overshoot, this does. I've even looked in the Dudek's videos and the guy launching is deep in the brakes to stop the thing overshooting. So a nice jab of brake stops it overshooting, get on the power, lean back into the wing, run it into the air. It's a very flat takeoff. Once it's got that speed, when your feet just come off, then it accelerates and then it climbs away. So loving the wing every time I fly it, and I've generally got a Hadron XX at home which is just going to collect dust now because I don't want to fly it. This wing for me is now my cross-country wing, and again, if you've got any more questions you want me to try and answer, leave them in the comments and I will try and go up and do some more flights in the near future to help answer them. Some of these clouds are looking decidedly lifty, so I'm going to get down. Been a glorious flight. So cloud base is definitely 1900 feet. It's lifted nearly 1100 feet in the last hour. It's definitely looking like a cross-country day for the glider boys. Right, let's get down. Hey! One thing I have found with this wing, it really doesn't want to come down. You kind of got to plan your approaches in a nice way that, although when you let your hands up it dives forward from holding a touch of brake, you've really got to just... I'm in a thermal at the minute. I'm going up. Right, let's do some steeper turns. Let's get down.
So this is the end of the video. I hope those facts and figures that I've done an overlay for and talked about in more detail earlier in the video will give you more of an indication that this wing is not all about speed. A lot of people's comments were talking about speed of the wing. I actually would say this wing is all about economy and the ability to get somewhere fast for a right amount of fuel used. The Hadron 3 is about cross-country, and cross-country flying is about using fuel for distance covered. And this is where I think the Hadron 3 is going to come into its own. I'm still enjoying it. Again, I think I was about flight 15. I'm getting more and more dialed into it, where I'm not... My Hadron XX used to be my nemesis wing. This Hadron 3 is a complete game changer for me, and I'm loving the fact that it's not stressful to launch. I can just launch the wing in most conditions and just get on the power and take off. It does cover distance so easily. It's also lovely and stable in flight. As you probably noticed for most of that flight, apart from me turning to do the interwind downwind legs, I was pretty much just hands in my lap, assessing the figures. And that for me is what cross-country flying is all about. Enjoying the view, not having to have a stressful flight for the distance covered. I will be, hopefully in future videos, taking this wing, meeting up with friends in fields for overnight camping and then coming back. That's what I want this wing for. The Hadron 3 is not going to be for everybody. It's not the most agile. It still is agile, but not the most. It's not meant to be. It is a cross-country wing. So I hope that covers everything. So until the next time, everybody, fly safe.